Hello and welcome, potential viewers, to a new podcast docu-series, What If Dogs Could? It is a series where we look at hypothetical scenarios that could happen if dogs were taught a certain ability, such as today's theme, cooking.
Taught or just have that ability?
Well, it doesn't really change anything. Okay, to be specific, we are only talking about cooking. Baking, moonshining.
Moonshining?
Yeah. Other food-related stuff. If it's not cooking, then we're not counting it.
Oh, I'm putting a line through some of my notes in that case. I thought baking was part of cooking.
I suppose we can hear some of yours. Okay, so before we get on to the big world-ending stuff, let's talk about some other little minor bad things. The main one I thought of immediately was obviously ovens.
Oh yeah, what about
burning, fire, death.
Burning themselves?
They could burn themselves, they could burn hamsters, anything smaller than an oven. I wonder if you could fit a rhino in an oven.
Oh, so they'd forget to take the food out, do you think? So they'd be like a bit of
Maybe.
a forgetful chef.
Maybe they would.
I thought sort of the other way. I thought maybe they'd just keep eating the ingredients. So like maybe they'd be going to cook and they'd get like the ingredients out, a bit of ham, a bit of cheese, whatever, but they'd just be like, oh, I'm eating that. And that made me think, maybe they can cook already. Yeah, maybe they can cook already, but they just can't be bothered because they love eating raw food so much.
Perhaps.
So like our dog, who we will refer to regularly, would happily eat raw meat just as happily as she'd eat cooked meat.
Yes. I think eating raw ingredients is a little better than burning in ovens. So, well, if dogs can manage cutlery, they can manage knives.
Yes.
And if they can manage knives, they can manage swords. It's not too big of a step up.
Well, but, I mean, most humans can manage knives. Most humans aren't Errol Flynn. There's one for the older listeners.
And if they can manage swords, then they can absolutely be pirates.
Yeah. There's a phrase for this sort of logical or illogical sequence, I think. Maybe they could be pirates.
What's the phrase?
I don't know.
Oh. Okay, well, let's go on to something a bit less extreme. Food poisoning.
That's our cat. Oh, yeah. Why would there be more food poisoning? I assumed if they could cook well. Are you saying they can cook, but they're quite bad cooks?
Well, I suppose they could cook well, but they could intentionally food poison.
Oh, so they're evil now as well?
No, I don't think we do want them to be evil, but, you know, maybe if it was an extreme, then they might be.
Oh, I had a thought. You know, you mentioned cookers. I had a very practical thought. Cookers would need to be lower, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
because dogs couldn't reach for hobs anyway.
I mean, they can stand on their hind legs, some of them.
Yeah.
Maybe I know an easier solution, John.
Yeah,
It's
what?
called stools.
Let's not get onto that. Oh, stools you stand on.
Okay.
I hate to think what the other type of stools would be like after a dog-cooked dinner. Although that did make me think, what sort of ingredients would they use? Like, I mean, the dogs I know, they like eating, among other things, grass.
Grapes, chocolate.
No, they can't eat those. Any listeners, don't let your dogs eat grapes or chocolate.
Safety
They're very
warning.
bad for them. And onions are very bad for dogs as well. I don't know why. Skins, I guess.
They get crying.
But, I mean, dogs like horse poo. So like,
manure. Yeah.
So like, what would go in? I'm imagining like a quiche full of grass and horse poo and a bit of chicken, which you could probably get in some hipster places, to be honest.
Maybe.
But yeah, there'd be some pretty awful recipes. I'm not sure I'd trust them.
It does not sound appetising.
No, they might like it.
So dogs might teach themselves to cook classic culinary things.
Mm-hmm.
In some places, like Egypt, a classic culinary thing is dogs. Would dogs cook dogs? Would they be cannibals? Maybe they'd be.
I don't think so.
Maybe they'd be unintentional cannibals, but they might
do
still.
they eat dogs in Egypt? I'm not sure that's
I think they
true.
do.
I think.
I don't know.
I think in some maybe.
Yeah, they do eat dogs in some places though.
Yeah, but I suppose that's getting off on a tangent, isn't it? I don't want to think about that.
I don't want to think about cannibalism either. I don't have any more notes before I go on to the world-ending stuff.
Well, I had a couple.
Okay.
I thought, would they cook for their owners, do you think, and be kind in that way? I'm not sure you'd want them to if it's full of like horse muck and grass, but
maybe not. But it would be kind.
But I also thought
it's like sweet, yet some people love it, some people hate it. Like as if Bella were to bring in a mouse.
Bella's our pet cat.
Yeah, I'd love it if she were to do that. It would be so cute, and I'd name the rat Hansel, even though it would be dead, and then I'd just give it some banana, which is also dead.
Our first cat, Hessie, named after former Gillingham player Andy Hessenthaler,
Yeah.
she brought a dead mouse in once and dropped it on my head while I was asleep.
Aww.
So that was a pleasant surprise. And you can't even be cross at them because they think they're being kind.
Yeah, so it's the same thing with dogs cooking.
Oh, the only other thing was
But I think you just do the cartoony thing where you open your mouth and then just pour the plate down behind it so it looks like it's going through your mouth.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. It works best in 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
There'd be nothing left while they cooked as well. They'd do a lot of taste testing, wouldn't they? Be like, oh, I'll just try a bit. You know how you meant to take a little bit of a spoonful and go, isn't that nice? Or, needs a bit more salt. They'd just be like, oh, I'm going to taste test. And it's all gone. Which also, I suppose, goes back to my thing about maybe they can cook, they just can't be bothered.
Yes.
I know humans like that, but that's another.
Are you talking about me?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
You quite like cooking and baking.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
So are we on to the world ending? So you wanted every time, this was your idea, wasn't it? How each thing could lead to the end of the world, is that right?
Yes, I've thought of 3 ways. I'll do my smaller 2 ones first.
Yeah, I've only really thought of one, because I've written 2 other things, but I didn't expand beyond writing the words. Oh, there's our cat. No, we're not doing what if cats could.
Okay,
Maybe this is a success.
Okay, so, first of all, maybe dogs would get fat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they already can get very fat.
Yeah.
But they'd get even fatter if they could cook.
Yeah.
And then they'd do the only one sport that you can be good at if you're fat. Sumo wrestling.
You're forgetting darts. But yeah, and why would that lead to the end of the world?
Well, every time they win, they get a victory meal and get even fatter.
Mm-hmm.
And so on until they're fatter than the universe can handle.
Yeah, it seems possible. A bit like a dog version of Monsieur Creosote from Monty Python. Yeah,
I'm going to assume...
Look it up on YouTube.
I'm going to assume
funny.
that's a good analogy and say yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. What's your one?
Okay, well, the 2 things I wrote down were just mass poisoning and explosion, but I didn't expand on explosion. But then I thought, right, so imagine that, like, the dogs, because they're successful cooks, go with me on this one, they've built, like, a takeaway empire.
Okay.
And so it's like as big as McDonald's sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And the head dog chef says one day, I need a bigger colander to like sieve out the rice. You know what a colander is? That thing with holes in.
It's like... they have holes to hang it on the wall.
No,
and then it has like little boxes with dates that you tick.
No, it's a calendar.
I'm doing that on purpose.
A colander has holes in them and like you pour your stuff out. If you've got a pan full of broccoli and water, you pour it through that and the water obviously goes through the hole, so you've got your whatever. So anyway... Unless
your broccoli's small enough, then it also goes through the holes.
Look, we're getting away from my point, which is quite laborious.
Yeah, but that's on purpose.
So, this head chef dog calls for a large colander, which you thought he might mishear as calendar, but actually, the other dogs, they go away and they accidentally bring the Hadron Collider, that thing which creates a black hole over in CERN, I think in Switzerland. So anyway, the head dog goes, what on earth is this? He goes, oh, it looks pretty. They plug it in, forget about it, no one does any maintenance on it, and they inadvertently create a black hole which sucks the world into it. There you go.
Woo!
Thank you. So that could happen.
Okay. Now.
You've got 2 to go, haven't you?
Yeah. Do you know the number 1 rule of the universe? If it was broken, it would create a time paradox and shatter everything in the universe.
Oh, like Donnie Darko.
I assume that's a...
That's one of my more recent references.
I still don't know it.
No.
Is it still before me?
Yeah, 2002, I think. It's a good film.
Yeah, that's still way
makes
before
no
me.
sense. But anyway, carry on.
Oh wait, was it that film you were watching?
Yeah, which got Madwell in.
Anyway, so the number 1 rule of the universe is never eat yellow snow.
Right.
Well, with dogs' newfound burger stacking knowledge, they can make snowmen. And with their newfound mustard knowledge, they can make the snowman yellow.
Right.
And with their not newfound, it's always been their eating knowledge, they could eat it and create a time paradox, causing the universe to implode on itself and death.
Right, yeah.
Okay, now, this is a very Rube Goldberg-y thingy, but...
Oh, that's those machines, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's explained it for everyone. It's those machines. Where like a ball knocks a plank and the plank knocks another ball.
And then
that knocks another plank and that knocks another ball.
And then that knocks a lemon.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all very impressive, but ultimately pointless.
Yeah. Sort of like...
Like quite a lot of things. Not this
like
podcast.
this podcast.
No.
We've just... You said not like this podcast and I said like this podcast at the same time.
So what happens with this Goldberg machine?
So, if you can cook with pans, then you can use your pan-holding knowledge to play air hockey.
Right, yeah.
By moving the pucks. And air hockey becomes... competitive dog air hockey becomes a new dog fighting, and they use it as entertainment at bars.
Oh, yeah.
And the dogs are able to get drunk at the bars. And that's an excuse for them to bite off human hands.
Oh, goodness.
And then wear them as gloves. And now they have opposable thumbs.
Oh, that escalated.
I suppose. They can use these opposable thumbs to hold things whilst they're cutting them, and now they can cut more solid substances, like onions, and then when they cut the onions, everybody cries, it causes a second world depression and stock market crash.
Right, yeah.
And then, I can't remember the rest of the things I read. Oh yeah. And then they carve pumpkins for Halloween with their newfound opposable thumbs.
Oh, and do people put those pumpkins on their head and their heads turn into snakes, like the plot of Halloween 3?
No.
Okay.
But anyway, so with the new Great Depression, Halloween is one of the only things that still brings people happiness. Therefore, they are willing to just put sweet in any jack-o'-lantern they see lying out.
Right.
If that doesn't work, then they can bite off all human body parts and then wear it around carrying their jack-o'-lantern and then get sweets, including those sweets...
I'm feeling slightly lost.
Including those sweets that you eat and then you can breathe out 3 meters of fire.
Right.
And then they can burn down trees and cause not an economic crisis, an economy crisis.
Right, yeah.
And all of the trees will burn down and then all of the humans will die.
Well, having talked through these ways the world could end, I feel quite relieved that none of them seem overly likely.
No, me neither. I mean, I don't think dogs would be able to talk and understand language.
No. So I think the worst thing that could happen if dogs could cook would be they'd just be bad cooks. But then you wouldn't have to eat their food.
Yeah.
And the fridge would empty a lot quicker and people's food bills would go up even more than they are currently.
I suppose, yeah. Although it is quite scary knowing that with enough time and chance, this could one day happen.
Wow. So, does that wrap it up for this one?
Yeah, you just said well and then said nothing after it.
Oh, okay. That's because I didn't really... It was like... it was while I thought of what to say next, and it sounded better than going which I don't think's a great sound, is it? People go and ah. But...
works in this context
what
because it's like you're hungry.
What do we want listeners to do? All that like, subscribe nonsense.
Teach dogs how to cook.
Oh yeah, which is more important?
Teaching dogs, because dogs need proper education. But do the other one on the side. Badum-ching.
And see you next time.
That's food knowledge, by the way, on the side.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Bye.